Come down.
Yes, sir.
We back with another episode of DoubleZero Nonsense. I'm your host, Elijah Lee.
And I am your co-host, Bruce Bay.
We got a special guest on with us today. My main man, Big Bah. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hello, y'all. I know y'all can't see me. I'm over here smiling. But my name is Edwin Bah, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm currently a graduate student here at Midwestern State. Yep.
We're happy to have you on, Bah. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy this second episode that we have for you today. Today we'll mostly be talking about relationships in life. We're gonna be talking about experiences and how we apply one to the other. So last episode, I left y'all hanging on some quotes. I usually like to start off the day with a quote. So since I didn't give one last episode, I got two for you today. That first one, both of them are by Earl Nightingale. The first one is, people with goals succeed because they know where they're going. And then the second one is, the mind moves in the direction of our currently dominant thoughts. So we're going to revisit those quotes throughout this episode. I want to talk about this experience I had this past weekend up in Colorado. We took a weekend vacation to ski and snowboard. Talking about applying one experience to another, what we're going to be talking about a little bit during this episode is what I pulled from my ride down the mountain in Colorado. So going down, when they told me how to board, because it was my first time ever going, they told me how to stop. If I turn to my right, depending on whether you ride goofy or regular. And so they told me to plant my toes or lean forward on my shins when I wanted to stop while facing up a mountain. And while facing downward, I would, lean back a little bit more and have my weight on my heels. And then they told me wherever I'm looking is where I go. And which sounded like the silliest piece of advice, but honestly, it was the most valuable because I found out, it felt crazy, but as I looked to my right, my board just kind of started floating that way. Then I started to trust it more. The more it worked, the more I trusted.
Yeah.
Honestly, going back to that first quote that we mentioned, the mind moves in the direction of our currently dominant thoughts. Mm-hmm. So if I'm thinking of going right, I'm going right. If I want to stop and I commit to stopping, I'm going to stop. They laid out all these rules for me on the first day. And they said if I didn't get them by the first day, there's nothing they can do for me the second day. They already gave me the rule book.
It's on you.
It's on me now.
That's right.
On that second day, being more on my own, I learned to listen to my body more and trust the instruction that they gave me on the first day.
I mean, I personally, I find it so cool how the most, joyous and exhilarating things can teach us, so much about life in general. And I think it's because they're synonymous, and this is because that's how life is supposed to be lived. You know what I mean? With invigorating passion, joy, peace and happiness within yourself, within that moment. This is where those seeds begin to sprout that have always been planted within us. And I personally think this is why you're able to conceptualize and find this insanely amazing topic and metaphorical masterpiece that was a simple snowboarding experience and tie it back in to life. You know what I'm saying? And this is because you were experiencing something on such a high level of joy, and it was something new, right? It wasn't like you've done it before or a whole bunch of times, if that, but simple instruction that applied and you could tie back into life helped you have the ride of your life. You know what I mean? And all it was what I get from it, right? From listening was focus on the direction you are going. Don't look too far ahead. Don't look too far left. Don't look too far right. You looking behind you, you're going to definitely crash, right? So being present in that moment, being there and aware and attentive and just enjoying the ride.
I think that the whole mountain itself could be looked at as like another metaphor. Like the mountain could be any obstacle that is in your life, and part of it is, when you, with the quote you said, your your most thought about thoughts becomes your what? Your actual, what'd you say?
The mind moves in the direction of our currently dominant thoughts.
Currently dominant thoughts, right? Your currently dominant thoughts were looking left or looking right, and that's what that manifested your direction.
Correct.
And it became true, like, cause like right now, like in my own life, let's say my mountain right now could be the 405 bench press. And you saw my snap when I did the 315.
Yep.
The whole week, my only thought, the whole weekend, sorry. So even at watching Super Bowl, I was like 315 for 10, 315 for 10. I would tell my roommate, I'd be like, hey Ashley, look at me in my face, tell me I'm gonna do 315 for 10.
Manifesting it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people, and something like even when I played football, I would tell myself like, I'm gonna get the biggest block of the day. Like people fail to realize that the power of the tongue and the power of the mind is way more strong than anything you can do with your flesh.
Big facts.
And like I said, my mountain could be that bench press, and all I think about is conquering the bench press, and then I do it. And like that's just part of like that's. And every day you have a different mountain, and you can only conquer them if you believe that you can. That's like the toughest thing to do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame.
And so how I kind of initially applied it in my own mind, and that's why, again, like hearing the way you think about it and piece it together is giving me a different angle on it. But how I had it in my mind was the board is our life, and the mountain is life in general.
Yeah.
You know, so you're in control of your board. You're not in control of the dude's board next to you or his skis.
Correct.
And it's different vehicles of getting down the hill too. You don't just got to be on the board. You know what I'm saying? But whatever you're on, that vehicle that you're on, you're in control of that.
That's right.
And so starting out as a beginner, learning how to ride, you're trying not to fall.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like
Intermediate, they trying tricks now, and they still busting their behind.
Right.
You know, but as a beginner, you're trying not to fall. And you being in control of your own board, my beginner mindset, when I started to feel like I got the hang of it, I was like, man, when I fell, I kind of blame the mountain or the board.
Right.
And that's what a beginner mindset is, bro.
Right.
And until my brother stepped in and said, you're in control of the board. The board isn't in control of you.
You gotta self-reflect.
Yeah, so you're a mental beginner if you blame it on the mountain or the board.
That's right.
Or you're a mental beginner if another beginner gets in your way and makes you fall, because an expert is gonna pump on his brakes, switch his direction, and keep on sliding down the hill.
Yes, sir.
That's just like what you're saying, like expert, he knows how to stop and move and all that. Well, if I'm an expert, the expert's really supposed to stop and lend a hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like in this stuff we call life. And that's another thing people don't really do.
Yeah.
Like people know all the jewels, they'll know everything. Like every time I see somebody in the weight room doing something weird, I'm gonna correct it. Cause I wish I had somebody to do it for me.
Right.
I'll probably be at a higher spot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that has nothing to do with what you were saying, but like I just thought about that, like
No, that's literally so this ties back in and intertwined in all this, right? As we keep saying these similarities that I'm hearing, it ties back into what I said last episode about us having more similarities than differences, right? Everybody got a board.
yeah.
Everybody got a mountain. Everybody got a choice to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once we realize, okay, this is not a singular issue or a singular problem, I can now go to somebody else who has conquered a mountain, right? Not saying that there isn't many mountains to be conquered, but metaphorically, once you get over that first hill, it's not always just going to be smooth sailing. You got to get over another hill too. You got to, you know what I mean, take another direction possibly. So once we realize that it's not just us going through whatever it is that we're going through, right? And not saying, oh, somebody else has it worse, instead of somebody else is going through what I'm going through, that allows us to conceptualize, you know what, I'm not alone in this thing. And that's what it's all about, man. That's what life's all about, is realizing that you are not alone in this thing.
Yeah.
And that's where strength comes from. That's where unity comes from, is realizing that.
And even in like, this is a touchy topic, but even in like the racial, you know what I'm saying? This tension that we're going through right now, right? I always tell people that might not have the same ideology as me, like, hey, I don't want to feel no sympathy. I want to feel empathy, and that's the biggest thing that's going on right now. Like I had a conversation with this older white woman. She's like 65. She thinks just like me, though. 24, big black guy. She's a little old white lady. She was telling me, she said, one day I sat there and I realized I have some microaggressions towards black people that is actually racism. And I looked at her, I was like, yeah. So what did you do to stop that? It's like, I stopped doing what I was doing negatively that hurt people like they look like you. And I was like, and I was telling her, like, see, if everybody thought like that, instead of going to protest with BLM, not knowing what they're really doing. Or I seen posters like, don't close your mouth, but open your mouth for blah, blah, blah. I know, like stuff like that. Like, that's more sympathy. That's like, I feel sorry. That's like, I'm a caged dog. And like,
Correct.
when you come to terms with saying like, oh, I am doing something wrong. I can hold myself accountable. Now you're like, okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Right. You got to get to an action-based standpoint, right? And I can rattle on about this, and I think I'm gonna touch on it a little bit later. But you have to get to a point where it's like, okay, this is not just an issue that is singular, right? Everybody does go through something, but it's within the individual. The individual has to tell themselves, this is not who I want to be, or this is who I want to be, right? This whole idea of racism, which I personally find to be a farce, because there's only one race, it's the human race. That's where we find our likeness, right? We are alike in that way. We are all humans.
I have a beat
now, you know what I'm saying? And so this idea of racism really just comes from an upbringing, right? You learn the things that your parents do. No one is born a racist. Okay, that just, it doesn't happen. You're taught, but as you begin to grow, you start to develop your own ideologies. You start to develop your own bases. You start to be able to say, "This is who I'm going to be. This is who I can be," and that's what this woman probably did.
Hey,
right.
Let me insert a quote right there.
Do it, baby.
Another Earl Nightingale, and I'll let you keep going. But we all walk in the dark, and each of us must learn to turn on his or her own light.
That's it. Right? It starts with self. Shout out to Intrinsic Self coming soon, baby. Had that little plug. But no, everything starts within, and the realization that you control your universe, you control your actions and your doings. Man, the world starts to become a little easier. Things start to become more in control once you realize things that you thought once were out of your control are yours to handle. Man, you start walking a little bit lighter. You start breathing a little bit easier. You start talking to people with a little bit more pep in your, a little more spring in your words.
And you get that back.
That's right.
Our environment.
Come on, talk to me.
The world
talk
in which we live and work is a mirror of our attitudes and expectations.
Come on, baby.
Exactly. It's all about humility too. To know, like, kind of like, we all have them friends that's like, screw white people. Like, they'll never change. Like, no matter what, it's C word this, blah, 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 that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's humility both ways. It's the fact that you know they're wrong, but I'm gonna still be right. I know that I have to be better than my suppressor in order to.
Because it comes down to, how you feel, and that's what I really want to get to the bottom of on each of these episodes, man, is dealing with the self.
Yeah.
Even for myself, this week I kind of did something where there's a person who I just did not mess with like that. Like, they just kind of did me wrong in my eyes. I may have done them wrong in their eyes, but you know what? I'll apologize for my end of it. They don't have to apologize for theirs. And when folks would tell me this as a kid, I kind of blew it off because it's just like, I need to be on top all the time. Right. But then when you get to a place of true peace in your heart, it's not about, proving anything to anybody. It's like, yeah, I'll forgive you for that because I actually don't hold anything against you. Right. When you can get to that place, as a black man and a white person is very hateful. And I even had an experience out here that made me super uncomfortable in the shop that I went to in regards to racism, even though I'm as light as I am. I went in with a very dark guy, and they know I'm not just white. And I felt uncomfortable. And I've been in these kind of environments before, and I didn't feel as uncomfortable as I did. So it's real. But in my heart, it's a choice I can make to either hold that against them and be angry towards them or to let it go and pray for them, and not telling them I'm gonna pray for you, but actually praying for them.
Actually doing
And
it.
and there's so within all of that, right? And I'm over here smiling, man, ear to ear, because I've been waiting for a moment to kind of drop this off. And this has to do with self and truth, which is going to be the juice for today. But we have to first realize and conceptualize and find truth in who we are. All right. These microphones that we're talking in right now, what color are they? What color are they?
They're black.
They're black. What color is your skin?
Black. Oh,
Relative to that mic, it's brown, right?
Yeah.
You were just saying you're light and you walked in with a darker guy. You see, we're not descendants of Crayola.
Right.
Okay, we're not colors.
Very
We are
true.
human beings with nationalities. Okay,
Yeah.
Every human being belongs to a nation. All right. Now, same thing. If we're gonna say we're not black, we have to conceptualize and understand that they're not white. All right. These are statuses and terms that everybody does not realize right now and conceptualize, but they're starting to, because the things we're talking about right now is the world's dialect at the moment. The world is realizing something is, for a long time they realized something wasn't right, but for some reason right now, this very moment, people are really like, okay, something is not right with what's going on. All right. And so somebody calling you the N-word, that used to be something that was really big for me. I've been suspended quite a few times in my earlier days for that very reason. But when I hear that word, or it's even directed towards me, it does not affect me, because I know that it's not what or who I am. I think, you see, if somebody called me you cow, that's not going to affect me, because I know I'm not a cow.
You're not a cow.
You know what I'm saying?
I think the thing is with that, for me, is the fact that it's more of a, I don't know, I think it's like
I know.
It's like you would say that just to get to me, that
Of course.
Yeah, like,
but that's because they themselves don't know who they are.
Exactly.
You see, a lot of these things come from our insecurities within.
Right.
Right? You get upset at that word because you are insecure about what that word means, or if that is really who you are. Right? The person calling you that word is saying that because they know that is the biggest tool or weapon they have to right?
Because I ain't gonna lie though, I know I'm African. Like, that word wasn't made for me. But the fact that you think that I would, like, I don't know, it's like a double. The fact that you think I'll be angry at that makes me angry. And the fact that you think that I am that makes me even more angry. Like, and
That's just giving it more power.
That's right.
But I understand, bro. Like, a lot of us, especially when you're a big old football player like yourself, you used to reacting.
That's right. And even as young men, right? It's natural as young men to react with certain levels of aggression.
Yeah.
Right? It's just natural. But we gotta learn how to tune that thing in.
Yeah, and my main thing, I just know for myself the difference you feel. Like, like I said, for the first time just recently, somebody did something wrong, and for me to not feel no weight, like for me to not feel angry.
Come on, man.
And bro, I felt so much lighter.
It's
yeah.
freeing.
I'm like, nobody has control over me.
Right.
I'm just me.
That's right. Because you're in tune.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, and I would say that sometimes for people listening, it might not even feel like that. But you should still do it because it's the right thing to do. And like, you know, it's some people, like, for instance, you said somebody did something to you and you knew you didn't do anything back to them, and it made you feel light, right? Well, in my life, my dad killed my mom, right? And he's in prison for the rest of his life, 2 counts of life. He's never coming back. And I always tell people, I'm like, as much as it hurts, like, he took my mother away from me. I got a tattoo all around my body. As much as it hurts, it pains me to say this even sometimes, but I forgave him. Like, he might not know it, but I forgave him.
For yourself.
For yourself. Right. And like, hearing you say, if it made you feel free, for me, it kind of made me feel like not even like a man.
Yeah, vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It made me feel vulnerable. And what I'm trying to get to is sometimes it might be easiest cake to do, like something petty, like squash it. It's over.
Yeah.
I'm the bigger man. Sometimes it might be something that you thought in a million years you would never say.
Right.
But you gotta get to the point where you're comfortable with yourself, your religion, whoever you call God, and your family, to say that I am the best person I'm going to be for those 3 things and do the right by anybody, even people that don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Because when I was a little kid, high school, all that stuff, you say your mama joke or you talk about my dad, and I'm ballistic. Now I'm like, I'm a grown man. Like, it's like you might be having a bad day or such and such. You just might just be ignorant. Like, it's cool. Like, I forgive you. Like, sometimes it might be that easy. Sometimes it might not. But you just got to keep on doing it no matter what.
It's growth. Growth is gradual. Growth is progressive. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen sometimes in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But as long as you're focusing on wanting to grow, right? My mom always said, you can't help nobody that don't want to be helped.
Yeah.
And that starts with self as well. If you can realize, you know what? I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to hold these grudges. I don't want to be this person, as we've been talking about this whole podcast, then you have the power to change that. But you're the only one with that power. So,
and also to piggyback on that, it all has to do with self-reflection. Like, you can't, like, it have been times where I done said I was gonna do something, at the end of the day, didn't do it. And I look back at the end of the day and be like, why didn't I do it? Because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Why is X, Y, Z in my life to begin with? So you gotta like check yourself, you know? Sometimes, like right now, I'm talking about my ideology and I might steer away from it.
Yeah.
Gotta check myself, get right back in
Yeah.
there.
that's right. That's right.
Like, I might say like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be petty. And my girl might not hit me up right now. I won't talk to her for the next day. And like, I'm just contradicting myself.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. Like, I always tell people, we're human, you know, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We just gotta practice to be perfect.
That's right.
And that's why I say experts are never really experts. Just like how we were talking about that Erykah Badu quote.
Right.
You know, how'd it go, Bruce?
The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all.
Yeah, man. And so, like, even when you get to a place where you feel like, you know, I know a lot, you need to pull back.
That's right.
You know, so even as we're having these talks, we feel like we just honestly take time to think about things that maybe not everybody does. But at the same time, we understand none of us are Albert Einstein.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that's part of what you said, or I think you weren't even off air. You were like, you are who you hang around.
No, I think that was on there.
No, I'm saying like, oh, you said it on air?
I believe so.
Okay, well, yeah. So piggyback on that.
Yeah.
So I'm not Albert Einstein. I'm gonna go hang out with all the other
Albert Einstein.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if let's say I don't know how to dribble, I'm gonna hang around y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna teach me how to dribble.
Yeah.
Just by being in the same area as y'all, chilling with y'all, we're gonna eventually go to the gym.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, if you're hanging around people that make money all day, every day, eventually they're gonna take you to go make money or show you the routes to do that.
Yeah.
So why not do that for like-minded other things like, you know, faith or like I'm starting to get back into my faith. So I went and became an intern for a church.
Yep. Same with me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm around people who are the Albert Einsteins of faith to me.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wanted to start working out. What I do? I went to the gym. I'm around Albert Einstein.
Bro, you can be whoever you want to be in life. And that doesn't just mean an astronaut or a doctor or an NBA player. When they say you could be whoever you want to be, each day you make a choice to love. You make a choice. I'm going to learn today. I'm going to do this today.
Right.
So you can be, and after a while, it builds momentum and they become habits. So you can shape yourself into becoming, allow your life experiences to shape you into who you want to be.
Because it doesn't just have to be based on constructs, right? Yeah. Astronaut, teacher, basketball player, weightlifter. No, you can be love. You can be kindness. You can be passionate. You can be happy. You can be the feelings and the energies that you want to reflect in the constructs that come about, right? You want to be a happy teacher, a loving teacher, a passionate bodybuilder, a inspirational bodybuilder, right? Something like that. So you don't just want to be the constructs that are placed, but you want to be the emotions and the things that go into the constructs.
The intangibles.
Right, because that's what's going to reflect, right? That's what people are going to see. So
I don't know. I feel like even though like you say it's a construct, but I think that if of all constructs, that's a good idea to like equity and equality. Like that's a good
right. And those, right, that's the realm you want to be in. The construct is black, right? Black man, white woman. Those are the constructs that are placed on you because with those constructs come things attached to them, right?
Like,
so when you think of a black man, you have certain thoughts. When you think of a
rap,
exactly, those are your right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You think of a white woman or white man, you think of certain things,
right?
When in reality, those aren't the things that you can think of things that are described by a quote unquote white woman or man that you can apply to a black quote unquote white woman or man, right? So there's so that's not truth. When you can do that, it's not truth. Okay, it's just a construct. It's just something that's been given to you and placed there.
I think another word we could use is like coincidence too. Like it's a lot like how I said like in the beginning of the show, I met an older white woman that thought just like me, and like it's just
and that's not coincidence though. You see, that's nature because there are older, quote unquote, white women all over the world, Bah, who think like you do. You see, you just happen to meet one in that moment. You feel me? Yeah. So no, I'm listening to you though, man.
I see. You got me thinking about it differently.
That's what we got to do.
Another thing though, we can't. I feel like I'm not in the space to go find them people because of the way I look, because of the way they look. I want to approach them because of these constructs, though.
That's right. That's right.
I see what you're saying now. Because I would never talk to her if we weren't in the same meeting.
That's right.
Because she looks like the old white lady that's gonna call the police on me.
Yeah.
And to her, I probably look like the mean black guy that's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? I kind of see what you're saying now.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I think I don't know something that just kind of worked for me is throwing myself in different environments. But if you just stay wherever you are and don't step outside of that, that's all that you're gonna imagine the world to be. Yeah. Just like I took a class that talked about how most older people, they said they broke it up by age group anyways, but they said that the older age group was the main age group who watched TV the most and watched the news the most. And they're the people, and the more you watch the news, the more paranoid you'll be about the world. Right. So it's like whatever you're feeding yourself constantly is what you eventually become and how you imagine the world to be. So that's why it's so necessary for us to throw ourselves constantly, and that's why they say take yourself out of the comfort zone. Right. You know, because there's no growth in it.
I think what you're saying is though, I think you feel that with your why. You know, I'm wearing my buddy 4 Reasons merch. You know, it's the 4 reasons of why you wake up every day. You know? And I feel like the only way we can do that is if you live for your why and motivate yourself to do that. Like, why am I going to put myself in this comfort zone? Out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Because it's going to make me a better person. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I feel like people need to hear. Yeah.
And then that motivation word, we, especially as Americans, we talk about that competition, but how we speed up our lives is by giving ourselves too many destinations throughout life. Like life is about the journey, not the destination, as that quote goes. But we are sitting, man, I'm waiting to get that house by the time I'm 30. I need that mansion by the time I'm 30. I need to have my wife and my kids by this age.
But why?
And exactly. But what about like today? The sun rises and the sun sets every day. We get 24 hours in each day, and how beautiful it is to see the sun set and rise. Why can't our days be just as beautiful? That's right. Why do we have to imagine if the sun didn't set, it set tonight and didn't rise again until March 12th, a month from now? How depressing that would be. So why are we doing that to our lives?
I think, I feel like every individual, okay, I'm gonna speak for myself, obviously. I think like the big house and the big car and big dreams, all that stuff is like the rags the richest feeling. That's why I do the little stuff. Like I wish I could have that big car by 30. I'm trying my hardest. I wish I could have that big house. By 30, the nice car, yada yada. And I think it's just like it's where you came from, really. For me, like I look at people on this campus all the time. Like I'm like, man, if I had a little bit of what they had, I'd be.
Hey, do you know people are looking at you that way?
No, yeah.
And that's
what I was gonna get at with the motivating part.
Bro, and that's where I'm talking about appreciating the journey seriously. Because, I mean, it's people in third world countries, and I was fortunate enough to have some friends. I made friends with some guys who I brought them back to Houston, and they looking at me like I'm a millionaire. And I'm like, bro, You have no idea what a millionaire looks like out here, but to them, I am. So why won't I live like one?
Yeah.
Each day, and then I just start looking at my clothes and my shoes. I'm like, man, I really want to up my game. Like I need to get back to the mall or start looking like a grown man. Give me some suits, bro. Let me be comfortable in these clothes for a little bit before I move on to the next.
You get to that,
come on, bro.
Live your life right for the now.
I mean, I'm sitting across from a great guy, two great men. And why don't I appreciate y'all have a lot to offer and y'all can benefit my life in a lot of ways if I open my mind to that. Indeed. So why don't I enjoy y'all and fully appreciate everything you have to offer my life and I return the same favor to you.
Right.
Each day we're blessed, all of us. It's not about the destination, man. It's not about the mansion. Yeah. It's about solving that problem within you first, and every day is supposed to be the best day of your life, man.
That's right. Staying focused. Staying focused on the direction you are going in. Not looking too far left, not looking too far right.
Bring it back home.
Not looking too far ahead, baby. Stay right where you are. Enjoy it.
I know you get 100 on every discussion post. You right.
Bruce wrapped this up like he was the host.
Hey, my bad.
Hey, no, it's all good.
I gotta ask you a question though.
Yeah.
The way, so, you know, I'm cool with you, obviously, but sitting there down and listening to them talk, do you ever think of writing a book?
I get that a lot, man, and that's definitely going to be, call it a bucket list, whatever you want to call it, but I am in the process of, because in order to have an opinion, right, you got to figure out who you are first. In order to write a book, in order to take a stance, you have to figure out who you first are. And what you're hearing right now is the process of finding and figuring it all out, right? And so to answer your question, yes, I have thought about writing a book, and yes, I will be writing a book.
Okay, just making sure.
Just not sure when, right? And so
I feel it.
Yeah.
Because, man.
You would read it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's love.
I skim. I'm playing.
I mean, still reading it. As long as you buy the book, that's all that
matters. Nah, it'd be on my nightstand. Go ahead.
But I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I read books all the time, even like self-wellness for black men books. And I'm like, dude, this dude. And I know it's judging, but this guy, the wrong people are going to read this and feel something out of it. Like, the person that's directed to will never get to it.
Yeah.
And like stuff like this, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like, stuff like this or stuff like my story, stuff like your story. It might be a hooper out there that might be second guess himself. You can give advice to. It might be a person that might be stuck in their own ideology and it needs that extra push to find out if this is gold or if this is trash. It might be a person that just needs motivation. Like, you know, and for instance, like we talk about social media, that's like our books in a sense. Like people always say diary and stuff, but like I feel like we need to start expressing how we feel for one, being vulnerable and being humble and showing humility and saying like when we're not perfect and stuff.
Yeah.
And giving out the tips that got us to where we are now, which is all stuff that's in the book.
Right.
You know, that's why I was asking, I'm like, man.
Yeah, I like that.
Cause he's saying stuff right now, and I'm gonna go back and research. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because like I would never would have got that if I never would have came here today.
That's right. You know
and
that's the goal, baby.
Yes,
Shout out to the
DoubleZero
Nonsense podcast.
Hey man. All right, man. Y'all got anything else to add?
No, that's it, man. Unless we're gonna do the juice of the J.
Oh, we definitely gonna do the juice for the day.
Wait, can you tell me what the juice of the day is?
He about to.
Yeah.
Okay, baby.
So juice of the day is just pretty much a tidbit of whether it be knowledge or motivation or anything that I personally feel needs to be said or given. But along the lines of the 5 principles of light that I introduced you to, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The first one was love. We spoke on love a little bit. So the second, of course, perfectly tying into this episode would be truth. And it's, not getting too deep into it, but just leaving you with this quote by Noble Drew Ali. Man knows not by being told. All right. So to me, what that means is just knowledge comes from action-based formulation, right? Not from just listening and believing, right? You got to go out and see and make sure, put it together and say, does this match up or does this not match up? But that's on you. You can also choose to just believe what you're told, but the consequences come with that if they're not to your liking or to what you thought was true. And, you should want to develop the proper use of discernment. As I mentioned earlier, this is a God-given gift to us all. It's within us all. And if there is a question, inquisitive presence or anything that makes us say or go, engage in it, right? Research, which obviously means to search again, and develop your foundations on a solid base, right? So that you can truly stand for something and not fall for anything. So that's it, man. Walk in love, right? Be beautiful, stay happy, and tune in with us for episode 3.
And that was your juice for the day, brought to you by our very own Bruce Bay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Bruce.
Appreciate you, Bah. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Bah. Thank you for joining us, man.
I definitely want to come back, though.
Hey,
You got to.
Yeah, we'll probably have him back for
some stuff that I wanted to talk about. That we need, like group economics with Black people. Like I always tell you about that all the time.
Yeah.
Stuff that I wanted to get into.
Yeah, we're gonna have you back.
But
thank you again, and thank y'all for joining the DoubleZero Nonsense podcast. Until next time.
Love.
Music licensing reimagined.